Oi, tudo bem? Eu acabei de te enviar no e-mail ali a multa rescisória da Viviane.
Com certeza está sendo visto, né?
GTS, assim que eu conseguir fazer, já te envio, tá? Beijo.
Good evening.
Good evening. We are going to start our presentation talking about COVID-19 triple crisis, a reflexive view about the pandemic. The virus SARS-CoV-2 pandemic has undermined and raised questions about the most effective actions to face it. The presentation does not have the pretense to be a complete analysis, but it seeks to be informative to the public and for people who take decisions. Suggestions are always welcome. Here, we are sharing possible experiences and themes for future researchers. Reflection again. It's not expected that the pandemic ends up in 2020. The population should be warned about this reality. The social withdrawal works, and this is the only available way today. Cities that relax the current moderate social withdrawal without a previous preparation will be forced to a collapse. The social confidence will be the main active of all the authorities. A serious economic risk is a shortage by the productive chain break. Another serious economic risk is the social chaos. Now we are going to talk about the topics of the crisis. It is a behavior crisis, sanitary crisis, and economic crisis, the three ones caused by the SARS virus pandemic. There is also the immediacy slant in that the small immediate gains are preferable than small immediate costs, even when there are future costs associated. Another important slant is the slant of the linear projection. In general, the brain has difficulty to correctly project an exponential function as well as underestimates the growth factor, whereas in the deceleration pandemic phase, the brain overestimates the growth. And still talking about behavior crisis, it consists in the fast demand change in the social habits. That can be small, like hygiene habits, washing hands, kinds of greetings, possible events to happen, parties and social events. Even in specific economic sectors, hotel business, tourism, and nightclubs. It is not realistic to expect to return to the normal behavior, habits, and activities in all the sectors in 2020. Sanitary crisis. It consists in the real and probable possibility of the health system collapse. This combination has the potential to collapse the health system in any country of the world. It is necessary a proper planning, agile. The available instruments to combat it were not numerous, and the effectiveness and the efficiency of all them highly depended to be adopted with a previous preparation, consistency, and planning. There were not timely manner to act. It was necessary to match the resources that already have and count on people's support and companies. Behavior diagnostic. It consists in the change of the social habits. The bad strategies to face the situation will be even worse if the communication does not be effective. For example, in case of people understand that come back to the normal implies to observe strictly all the new behavior rules, this can destroy the quarantine efforts and cause a big tragedy. Behavior crisis combat. The main form to combat the behavior crisis is an effective communication. All the action must be agile to be effective. In order to the political leaders be capable to communicate in a clear way the situation's severity and the efforts evolution in a combat, it is important themselves to be properly informed. They must tell the truth, and the information must be the same in all the government areas. Sanitary diagnostic. The sanitary crisis takes places of the combination of the high hospitalization and the high velocity and contagion of the virus. It has the potential to collapse the system in any country. This risk was very probable to the collapse to increase the lethality not even just for COVID-19, but for all the other diseases and hospitalizations because the lack of hospital beds and health professionals. Risks of having to use medical protocols to verify who would have the right to use the hospital equipments. Sanitary crisis combat. Now we're going to talk about the social withdrawal that is practically the only viable action capable to gain some time to be possible to adopt an efficient strategy against pandemic. Pandemic combat without enough hospital beds, without preventive efforts before the pandemic, and without the entire population well informed, and without the commitment almost complete of population with the social withdrawal and prevention of COVID-19. The available tools to face the pandemic are limited. At this moment, the social withdrawal is the only viable action. Economic crisis diagnostic. The economic crisis consists in all the economic difficulties imposed by the behavior changes and will have implications for all the economic sectors. Unemployment. The official rate, increased for 13.3% in the trimester that finished in June, reaching 12.8 millions of people with closing of 8.9 millions of new jobs in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic impacts. The government needed to emit the emergency aid for unemployment people equivalent to $108. The global economy may stagnate in these countries. The gross domestic product is still growing. The blue color growth forecasts gross domestic product. And in the red color, you can see the growth forecast growth of the domestic product in 2020. Final considerations. The preeminent evidences that we have available clearly aim in the sense to adopt actions of social withdrawal to break the pandemic advance. This is the most economically viable solution and more efficient. The value of saved lives. About the actions for the social withdrawal, the most difficult challenge that many countries in the world have is how to keep the control of everything. Thank you very much for the invitation, for all the organizers and the doctors who participated of this webinar. Thank you very much.